Hello there, my fellow garden lovers. Ever toss something out and later think, I could have used that in the garden? Well, today's video might just change how you see that old rubber tire sitting by the shed. If you're anything like me, you love turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, especially when it means adding charm to the garden without spending a dime. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing potential where others see waste, isn't there? I've spent years watching perfectly good garden containers roll away to landfills when all they needed was a little imagination and perhaps a coat of paint to become something truly special. So get ready, because what we're about to do with some worn-out tires will have you asking, why didn't I think of that sooner? 20 ideas that prove gardens don't need expensive pots and planters to look beautiful, they just need your creative touch. And wait till you see what we do with tires and teacups in idea number 14. It's the kind of garden border that has neighbors stopping to ask where you bought it, when all it cost was a little time and care. Welcome to Golden Seniors Living, where creativity doesn't retire. We believe beauty belongs in every garden, no matter your age, your budget, or your back. Because the wisdom in your hands deserves projects that respect both your experience and your changing needs. So if peaceful, purposeful projects sound like your style, hit that subscribe button, we're just getting growing. Together, we'll turn everyday items into garden treasures that bring joy without strain or expense. Idea 1, Layered Tire Planter Tower. Let's start with something that brings your garden up to a comfortable height, no more bending to tend your flowers. A layered tire planter gives you vertical gardening without the expense or heavy construction. Begin with 3 to 4 clean tires of similar size. For a cleaner look, use a sharp utility knife to trim away the outer sidewall of each tire, creating a more streamlined profile. Take your time with this step, no rushing needed. Now comes the fun part, painting. Choose colors that complement your garden or home. I find that soft pastels like sage green or powder blue create a cottage garden feel, while earth tones blend naturally with your plants. Don't worry about perfect coverage, that weathered, slightly imperfect finish adds character. Stack your painted tires, slightly offsetting each one for stability and visual interest. Fill with good quality potting soil and plant cascading flowers like petunias, verbena, or sweet potato vine that will spill over the edges and soften those round shapes. What makes this perfect for us is the height. By stacking 3 tires, your plants sit at a level where you can tend them while standing or seated in a garden chair. No kneeling, no straining, just comfortable gardening. Your garden just got vertical, without the strain. And that old tire? It's now the foundation of a garden feature that looks like it came from a boutique, but cost nothing but your creativity. Idea 2, Tire Herb Spiral Garden. Here's a clever way to grow a variety of herbs in a small space while creating a fascinating garden feature. A herb spiral makes brilliant use of vertical space and creates different growing conditions, perfect for herbs with different needs. Start with a large tractor tire or several car tires. Using a sharp knife, carefully cut the tire in a spiral pattern, starting at one point and working your way around. This creates a long, curving strip of rubber that naturally wants to form a spiral. Secure your spiral in place by pushing garden stakes through pre-drilled holes in the rubber, anchoring it to the ground in your desired shape. Fill the interior with good quality potting soil, building it up higher in the center and sloping down along the edges. Now comes the planting magic. Use drought-loving herbs like rosemary and thyme at the top where it's driest, Mediterranean herbs like oregano and marjoram in the middle sections, and moisture-loving herbs like mint and parsley along the lower edges. What makes this perfect for us is the accessibility. As the spiral curves around and upward, different herbs are presented at different heights. You can harvest from the outer edges while seated, or reach to the center while standing, no stooping required. Fresh herbs, easy reach, and not a penny wasted. And there's something rather poetic about a spiral in the garden, isn't there? A reminder that life keeps turning and offering new beginnings, even for something as humble as an old tire. Idea 3, Swinging Tire Planter. Now, let's add some gentle movement to our garden with a project that brings back childhood memories while creating something entirely new and beautiful. Choose a tire with good, solid sidewalls. Clean it thoroughly, then give it a coat of exterior paint in a color that makes your heart happy. While white creates a classic look, don't be afraid to go bold with yellows or teals that pop against green foliage. Drill 3 to 4 equally spaced holes around the top sidewall. Thread sturdy rope or garden chain through these holes, bringing them together at the top to form a hanger. Make sure your attachment point, whether a tree branch or garden hook, is strong enough to support the weight of soil, plants, and water. Line the inside of your tire with landscape fabric or coconut fiber to contain the soil. Fill with lightweight potting mix and plant cascading flowers like lobelia, trailing petunias, or even strawberries that will spill over the edges. What makes this perfect for us is the visual movement it brings to the garden without requiring much maintenance. Once installed at a comfortable height, you can tend it while standing, with no bending or stretching needed. A garden that sways with the breeze and soothes the soul. There's something mesmerizing about plants that move gently in the wind. They remind us to stay flexible and find joy in life's gentle rhythms. And who would guess this elegant hanging basket began as a discarded tire? Idea 4, Miniature Fairy Garden Base. Let's create a little magic with our next transformation, one that might delight grandchildren or simply bring a smile to your face each time you pass by. Take a smaller sized tire and give it a thorough cleaning. Paint the outside in a natural color like brown or moss green so it blends with your garden setting. Allow the paint to dry completely, perhaps enjoying a cup of tea while you wait. Place your tire where it will get dappled light. Fairies prefer not to be in harsh sun, you know. Fill it with good quality potting soil, creating small hills and valleys for interest. Now comes the enchantment. Add miniature accessories like tiny houses, diminutive benches, or small pathways made of pebbles. Plant appropriately sized greenery. Think small-leafed herbs like thyme, miniature varieties of plants, or Irish moss to create a lush backdrop for your fairy inhabitants. Add a few colorful blooming plants like miniature violets for seasonal color. What makes this perfect for us is that once established, it requires very little maintenance, just occasional watering and perhaps seasonal rearranging of the fairy furniture. It sits at a height that's easy to enjoy from a seated position nearby. Because magic doesn't age. And neither does our sense of wonder. This little world within a world reminds us that imagination keeps us young, no matter what the calendar might say. It's a garden feature that brings joy to visitors of all ages, creating connections between generations through shared imagination. Idea 5, Tire Rocking Chair Planter. Here's a transformation that turns a utilitarian object into something with real personality and charm, a rocking chair planter that serves as both garden art and a functional growing space. Select a tire with good tread and sturdy sidewalls. Clean it thoroughly, then use chalk to mark a seat-shaped cutout across the opening. Think of a simple chair with a rounded back. Using a sharp utility knife, carefully cut along your lines to create the chair shape. Take your time and rest when needed. This isn't a race. Sand any rough edges, then paint your chair in a color that complements your garden. Whites and pastels create a cottage garden feel, while bright primary colors add a playful touch. For extra durability, finish with a clear outdoor sealer. Place your tire chair against a fence or wall for support, then add a container of soil in the seat area. Plant colorful annuals or small perennials that will grow up and around the chair shape, softening the lines and creating the illusion of a chair blooming with flowers. What makes this perfect for us is the storytelling opportunity it provides. It becomes not just a planter, but a conversation piece that showcases your creativity and gives your garden unique character without requiring ongoing maintenance. It doesn't just hold flowers, it holds memories. Of porch rockers and summer evenings. Of conversations that stretched into twilight. Your tire chair planter brings those comfortable associations right into your garden, creating a sense of welcome and whimsy that store-bought planters simply can't match. Idea 6, Raised Veggie Bed for Seniors. Now, let's talk about something practical that makes growing your own food easier and more comfortable, no matter what your knees might have to say about gardening these days. Start with 2 same-sized tires. Clean them thoroughly, then stack them one on top of the other. For added stability, you can secure them together with a few screws driven through the sidewalls where they meet. Line the inside with landscape fabric or even an old shower curtain with drainage holes punched in the bottom. This prevents the rubber from having direct contact with your soil while ensuring proper drainage. Fill with a mixture of good quality garden soil, compost, and a bit of sand for drainage. The beauty of this system is that you can customize the soil precisely for what you're growing, something not always possible with in-ground gardens. Now plant your favorite compact vegetables. Lettuce, radishes, bush beans, or herbs all thrive in these containers. The circular shape makes everything accessible with a simple quarter turn, no reaching or stretching required. What makes this perfect for us is the height. At roughly 2 feet tall, these raised beds put the growing surface at a level where we can tend plants while seated on a garden stool or standing without bending deeply. Gardening without the backache. Healthy knees, healthy harvest. These simple raised beds prove that growing your own food doesn't have to become more difficult as we age, it just needs thoughtful adaptation. And isn't that what wisdom is all about? Finding new ways to do the things we love. Idea 7. Tyre wall trellis planters. Let's take our garden vertical with a project that makes use of wall or fence space, perfect for those of us with limited garden room or who prefer to garden without bending. Select several tires of similar size. Using a sharp knife, carefully cut each tire in half through the tread, creating 2 half circles. Clean thoroughly and paint in colors that complement your garden theme. I find that a single color creates a more cohesive look, but different colors can be quite charming too. Attach these half tires to a fence or wall using strong garden wire or screws, positioning them at a comfortable height for tending. Line each half with landscape fabric, fill with potting soil, and you've created instant vertical planters. Now comes the climbing magic. Plant vining vegetables like cucumbers or pole beans, or flowering climbers like morning glories or clematis. Attach a small trellis or wire grid behind each tire for plants to climb. What makes this perfect for us is the accessibility. By mounting these planters at shoulder height, we can tend and harvest our plants without any stooping or kneeling. The vertical growth means even more growing space without taking up precious ground. Grow up, not out. These vertical planters remind us that sometimes the best direction isn't forward or backward, but upward. They bring eye-level beauty to fences and walls that might otherwise be bare, surrounding us with living color at just the right height for appreciation. Idea 8. Zen Tyre Sand Garden. Now, here's something completely different, a project that brings tranquility and mindfulness to your garden space, creating a spot for reflection and peaceful moments. Choose a larger tire with good sidewalls. Clean it thoroughly, then paint the exterior in a calming color, perhaps soft gray, stone blue, or natural sand tone. The goal is something subtle that won't distract from the meditative quality of your finished garden. Place your tire in a quiet corner of your garden where you might enjoy sitting nearby. Fill it 3/4 full with fine play sand or specialized Zen garden sand. Smooth the surface carefully with your hands or a small piece of cardboard. Add 3 to 5 small rocks or pebbles, arranging them asymmetrically as focal points. Traditional Zen gardens often use odd numbers of stones and asymmetrical placement to create natural harmony. Choose stones with interesting shapes or colors that bring you joy. Include a small rake made from a piece of wood with nails or tines spaced about 1/2 inch apart, perfect for creating patterns in the sand. This can be stored nearby or decoratively placed across your garden when not in use. What makes this perfect for us is the combination of beauty and function. This isn't just decoration, it's an invitation to practice mindfulness through the simple act of raking patterns. The elevated height means no kneeling required to enjoy this calming activity. Find your calm, one rake at a time. In a world that never seems to slow down, this little garden within a garden reminds us to pause, breathe, and find peace in simple movements. It's not just recycling a tire, it's creating a daily practice of tranquility. Idea 9. Tyre Pond Basin. Water brings such life and movement to a garden, and with this simple transformation, you can add that magical element without extensive digging or expensive pond liners. Select a larger tire, preferably a truck or tractor tire for more depth. Clean it thoroughly, ensuring there are no chemicals or debris that might harm aquatic life. Paint the visible exterior with exterior paint in a natural tone that will blend with your garden setting. Place your tire in a level spot that gets partial shade. Too much direct sun can cause algae growth and overheat the water. Line the inside with a pond liner or heavy-duty plastic sheeting, pressing it well into the corners and allowing plenty of overlap at the top. Fill with water and let it settle for a day or two before adding water plants. Choose floating varieties like water lettuce or small water lilies for larger tires. Surround the exterior with rocks or plants to naturalize the appearance and hide the tire edges. What makes this perfect for us is the minimal maintenance. Once established, this small water feature requires little attention beyond occasional topping up during dry periods. The raised height also means easier viewing of water plants and any visiting wildlife. Where the birds sip and you smile. There's something deeply satisfying about bringing water into a garden space. It attracts birds and beneficial insects, creates soothing sounds, and adds a cooling presence on warm days. All from a tire that might otherwise have been discarded. Idea 10. Tire footstool or garden seat. Let's create something practical that makes garden enjoyment more comfortable, a spot to rest, to set your gardening tools, or simply to elevate your feet after a satisfying session among the flowers. Start with a clean tire. For this project, the sidewalls need to be intact and sturdy. Fill the center hole completely with tightly packed newspaper or bubble wrap, then cover the entire tire with batting or foam for cushioning. Old blankets work well for this too. Next comes the covering. Choose weather-resistant fabric in a pattern you enjoy, or even repurpose old jeans or canvas for a rustic look. Cut your fabric generously, then wrap it around the tire, tucking the edges into the center hole. Secure with staples on the underside where they won't be visible. For added stability and protection from moisture, attach a circular piece of plywood to the bottom using screws driven through the wood into the tire rubber. This creates a solid base and prevents your footstool from collecting water. What makes this perfect for us is its dual purpose. Not only does it provide a handy seat at just the right height for brief garden rests, but it's lightweight enough to move around the garden as needed, unlike heavy concrete or metal garden furniture. Sit a while, you've earned it. This comfortable garden companion offers a moment of rest without asking you to go all the way back to the house. It reminds us that gardens aren't just for working, they're for enjoying, for pausing, for being present with the beauty we've helped create. Loving these transformations? Well, we're only halfway through, and coming up, I've got a tire idea that turns into a bird bath with zero tools. But first, let me know in the comments which idea has caught your imagination so far. I love hearing how you might adapt these projects for your own garden spaces. Let's take a quick moment to talk about painting tires. I find that latex exterior house paint works wonderfully, but do apply a primer first for better adhesion. And here's a little trick. Leaving your freshly painted tires in the sun helps the paint cure more quickly and creates a more durable finish. Now, let's continue our garden transformation journey with 10 more ways to give old tires new purpose. Idea 11. Mosaic Tile Tire Table. Here's a project that turns a simple tire into a functional garden accent that's as beautiful as it is useful, perfect for holding your garden journal, a cup of tea, or even serving lemonade to a garden visitor. Begin with a clean tire. For this project, a smaller car tire works well. Paint the outside in a color that complements your garden theme. I find that dark colors like charcoal or deep green help the mosaic top stand out beautifully. Cut a circle of exterior-grade plywood that's slightly larger than your tire opening. This will be your tabletop. Attach it securely to the tire using screws driven through the wood into the rubber at several points around the perimeter. Now comes the creative part. Gather broken china, ceramic tiles, or glass gems in colors you love. Apply tile adhesive to your wooden top, then place your pieces in a pattern that pleases you. Don't worry about perfection, the charm is in the handcrafted nature of the design. Allow this to dry completely. Finish by applying grout between the pieces, following package directions. Choose a grout color that complements your mosaic. White brightens, while darker colors make the pieces pop. Wipe away excess grout before it dries, then seal when fully cured. What makes this perfect for us is the height. A tire table sits at just the right level next to a garden chair, no bending down to set things on the ground, and no stretching up to a tall table. It's gardening comfort, customized. Tea tastes better on something you made. And there's something so satisfying about creating a permanent garden feature from materials that might otherwise be discarded. Each broken piece in your mosaic has found new purpose in a beautiful whole, rather like the chapters of our own lives coming together in these golden years. Idea 12, Hanging Tire Shelf. Let's create something unexpected, a hanging shelf that brings plants to eye level while adding architectural interest to a porch, pergola, or even an indoor garden room. Select a tire with good, clean sidewalls. Remove one sidewall completely using a sharp utility knife, creating a shape similar to a deep dish. Take your time with this step, patience yields the best results. Clean thoroughly and paint in a color that complements your space. Cut 3 lengths of strong rope or decorative chain, each about 4 to 5 feet long. Attach these equidistant around your tire using eye bolts secured through the remaining sidewall. Bring the ropes together at the top and knot securely or use a large metal ring to join them. Cut circular shelves from exterior-grade plywood to fit inside your tire at different levels. One can sit at the bottom of the tire, one halfway up, and perhaps a smaller one near the top. Secure these with screws driven through the tire into the wood edges. Paint your shelves to match or complement your tire color. Once dry, hang your creation from a secure hook or beam, making sure it's at a height where you can easily reach all the shelves without stretching. What makes this perfect for us is the accessibility. These hanging shelves bring plants and decorative items to perfect viewing height, eliminating the need to bend down to appreciate smaller garden treasures. The gentle swaying movement also adds life to still corners. A wheel of wonder for your wall. This hanging garden feature turns a utilitarian object into a conversation piece, proving once again that creativity doesn't diminish with age. It simply finds new expressions through experienced hands and wise eyes. Idea 13, Painted Garden Sculptures. Now, let's create something purely decorative, garden art that brings color, whimsy, and personality to your outdoor space without asking anything of you beyond appreciation. Gather several tires of different sizes. Clean them thoroughly, then let your creativity guide the transformation. For flower shapes, cut tires into petal patterns using a sharp utility knife, then bolt them together in layers. For abstract sculptures, cut tires into curving shapes that can be connected in interesting ways. Paint your creations in bright, weather-resistant colors. Bold primary colors create a playful feel, while pastels offer a more subtle presence. Consider using contrasting colors for different elements of your sculpture to make them pop visually. Mount your tire art on metal poles set in concrete for permanent installation, or simply position freestanding pieces wherever they bring you joy. Clustering several pieces creates a gallery effect, while single sculptures can serve as focal points in garden beds. What makes this perfect for us is the permanent nature of the display. Unlike flowers that need deadheading or shrubs that require pruning, these colorful creations bring consistent beauty through all seasons with no maintenance required. Art blooms where tires once rolled. These sculptures remind us that beauty doesn't have to be traditional to be meaningful. They bring unexpected color to winter gardens and rainy days, standing as bright testaments to the creative spirit that knows no age limit. Idea 14, Teacup Tire Border. Here's the charming idea I promised earlier, one that combines unlikely elements to create something utterly unique and delightful. This border brings together industrial rubber and delicate china in a combination that somehow works beautifully. Collect several tires of similar size. Cut them in half horizontally, creating 2 rings from each tire. Clean thoroughly and paint in a color that will showcase your teacups. White creates a classic look, while darker colors make the cups stand out dramatically. Partially bury these half tires along your garden edge, leaving about half their height exposed above soil level. Space them evenly for a rhythmic effect, or cluster them in groups for a more organic look. Now, visit thrift stores to collect old teacups, the more colorful and varied the better. Attach these cups to the exposed tire rims using strong construction adhesive designed for outdoor use. Position them at regular intervals, creating a scalloped effect along your border. Plant small succulents or colorful annuals in each cup, choosing varieties that won't outgrow their delicate containers. For a cohesive look, use the same plant in each cup. For more whimsy, vary your selections. What makes this perfect for us is the elevated height. No bending to the ground to appreciate these little plantings. They're presented at a level that's easy to see and tend while seated or standing comfortably. Delicate meets durable, and your borders never looked cuter. This unexpected combination captures the essence of creative gardening, finding beauty in contrasts and joy in reinvention. It's a border that tells visitors your garden doesn't take itself too seriously, even while taking your comfort seriously indeed. Idea 15. Tyre Toy Box Planter for Grandkids. Here's a dual-purpose creation that brings together the generations, a garden feature that's as much about creating memories as it is about growing plants. Choose a larger tire with good, intact sidewalls. Clean it thoroughly inside and out, then paint the exterior in bright, child-friendly colors. Consider adding playful designs like flowers, butterflies, or simple patterns that appeal to young eyes. Cut a circle of exterior-grade plywood sized to fit inside the tire, resting on the lower sidewall. This creates a solid bottom for the toy compartment. Seal the wood with child-safe exterior varnish to protect it from moisture. Around the top rim of the tire, attach a series of small containers. Colorful plastic pots or metal buckets work wonderfully. Secure these with strong adhesive or screws, spacing them evenly around the circumference. Fill with child-safe plants like marigolds, pansies, or strawberries. The center of the tire becomes a perfect storage space for outdoor toys, small garden tools, sidewalk chalk, or nature collection items. Add a lightweight lid if desired, painted to match your colorful creation. What makes this perfect for us is the way it creates intergenerational garden spaces. This practical planter gives our grandchildren ownership of a garden area while keeping their treasures organized and their activities centered where we can comfortably supervise. Flowers on top, fun underneath. This clever combination nurtures both plants and young imaginations, inviting children into the garden world we love while respecting our need for order and ease. It's not just a planter, it's a memory maker designed for shared moments across generations. Idea 16. Vertical Strawberry Tire Garden. Let's create a space-saving garden that puts sweet berries within easy reach, no stooping or stretching required. This vertical strawberry planter makes harvesting a pleasure rather than a challenge. Start with a stack of 3 to 4 tires, secured together with screws or bolts through the sidewalls where they meet. Clean thoroughly and paint in a light color that won't absorb too much heat, as strawberries prefer cooler roots. Using a drill with a 2-inch hole saw attachment, create 12 to 15 holes spaced evenly around the sides of your tire stack. These holes should angle slightly upward toward the center to help hold soil in place. Fill your tire tower with good quality potting soil mixed with compost, tamping it firmly but not compactly as you go. Water thoroughly to help the soil settle, then top up as needed. Plant strawberry runners in each hole, gently guiding the roots toward the center of the stack while positioning the crown of the plant in the opening. Add a few plants in the top of the tower as well for maximum productivity. What makes this perfect for us is the accessibility. Strawberries grow at varying heights all around the tower, meaning you can harvest them while standing or sitting, with no bending to ground level. The vertical format also keeps berries cleaner and away from garden pests. Fruit at your fingertips. This clever growing system turns the gardener's traditional stooping strawberry patch into an upright garden feature that respects aging knees and backs. And there's something undeniably satisfying about plucking sun-warmed berries from a tower you've created from materials others discarded. Idea 17. Tire Wind Chime Frame. Let's add some music to our garden with a project that engages another sense, hearing. This tire transformation creates a frame for gentle sounds that complement bird songs and rustling leaves. Select a tire with intact sidewalls. Clean it thoroughly, then paint in a color that will either stand out as a garden feature or blend with your existing color scheme. Metallics like copper or silver create an elegant look for this musical project. Remove the inner rim of the tire using a sharp utility knife, leaving just the outer circular frame. Take your time with this step. Precision creates a more finished appearance. Sand any rough edges smooth. Drill 6 to 8 evenly spaced holes around the bottom edge of your tire frame. These will hold your chimes. For a cohesive look, use similar materials like glass pieces, bamboo tubes, or repurposed silverware. For an eclectic garden statement, mix materials and lengths. Hang your chime elements from strong garden twine or fishing line, securing each through your pre-drilled holes. In the center, hang a small striking piece that will cause gentle contact when the wind blows. What makes this perfect for us is the sensory richness it brings to the garden without requiring maintenance. Once hung from a tree branch or shepherd's hook, this musical creation performs independently, bringing unexpected moments of delight with each breeze. Let your garden sing in the breeze. These gentle sounds create a multisensory garden experience that enhances peaceful moments outdoors. Like wind through leaves or rain on a roof, these familiar, natural sounds connect us to the rhythms of the world around us, a fitting addition to gardens tended by those who appreciate life's subtle harmonies. Idea 18, Tyre Composter. Here's a practical project that turns garden waste into garden gold, a simple composting system that works with nature's processes to enrich your garden soil. Stack 3 tires of the same size, securing them together with screws or bolts through the sidewalls where they meet. Clean the exterior thoroughly, then paint in a dark color that absorbs heat. Black or dark green works well for composting. Cut an access flap in the bottom tire using a utility knife, creating a door that allows you to remove finished compost. Attach this flap with heavy-duty hinges and add a simple latch to keep it closed when not in use. Position your composter in a partially shaded location where you can access it easily. Line the bottom with a layer of small branches or twigs for drainage, then begin adding alternating layers of green materials, kitchen scraps, fresh grass clippings, and brown materials, dry leaves, shredded paper. Keep a small container of garden soil nearby to sprinkle between layers occasionally. This introduces beneficial microorganisms that accelerate decomposition. Water lightly when adding dry materials to maintain moisture similar to a wrung-out sponge. What makes this perfect for us is the height. Unlike ground-level composting systems, this elevated design allows you to add materials without excessive bending, and the access door makes harvesting finished compost much easier on the back and knees. Nature's cycle, in a circle. This simple system connects us to the fundamental processes that sustain garden life. There's wisdom in composting, an understanding that nothing is truly waste when viewed with knowledgeable eyes. Like so many aspects of gardening, it teaches us patience and appreciation for transformation. Idea 19, Tyre Tabletop Bird Buffet. Let's invite feathered friends to dine in our garden with a project that brings wildlife viewing right to a comfortable height, no binoculars needed. Start with a clean tire. Attach a circular piece of exterior-grade plywood to the top using screws driven through the wood into the rubber around the perimeter. The wood should extend about 3 inches beyond the tire on all sides, creating a stable surface. Create legs for your table using 3 pieces of 4x4 lumber cut to a height comfortable for viewing while seated, typically about 24 to 30 inches. Attach these to the underside of your plywood top using angle brackets and screws for stability. Paint the entire assembly in natural colors that won't frighten birds. Soft greens, browns, or blues work well. Apply several coats of exterior sealer to protect the wood from weather and facilitate cleaning. On the tabletop surface, arrange several shallow dishes at different levels. Use terracotta saucer bottoms or recycled pie tins secured to the wood with adhesive. Some can hold seed, others fresh water, and perhaps one with fruit for orioles or jelly for hummingbirds. What makes this perfect for us is the viewing height. By bringing birds up to eye level, we can enjoy their colors, behaviors, and songs without craning our necks or using magnification. The stable table format also allows for comfortable seated bird watching, a relaxing way to connect with nature. Feed a feathered friend, and feed your soul. There's something deeply satisfying about creating habitat that supports local wildlife. Birds bring movement, color, and song to our gardens while helping control insects naturally. This simple tire transformation fosters that beneficial relationship while providing hours of peaceful entertainment. Idea 20, Tyre Welcome Sign Base. For our final transformation, let's create something that greets visitors with personality and sets the tone for the garden experience to come. A charming welcome sign that showcases your garden's name or favorite motto. Choose a tire with good, intact sidewalls. Clean thoroughly and paint in a color that will complement your sign design. Consider the style of your garden. Formal gardens might warrant glossy black or deep green, while cottage gardens might shine with cheerful yellow or powder blue. Cut a circle of exterior-grade plywood size to fit inside the tire opening. Sand the edges smooth, then paint with a contrasting background color for your lettering. Allow to dry completely before proceeding. Using stencils, hand lettering, or even burned-in lettering if you're crafty, add your garden's name or welcoming phrase to the wooden center. Rose Cottage Garden, the pollinator's paradise, or simply welcome to our garden all make lovely greetings. Position your tire vertically near your garden entrance, securing it with garden stakes or by partially burying the bottom. Attach your wooden sign to the tire using screws driven through the wood into the rubber, making sure it's centered and level. Enhance your welcome sign with plantings around the base, perhaps low-growing herbs or colorful annuals that soften the edges and integrate it into the garden setting. Solar lights attached to the top edge can illuminate your sign in the evening hours. What makes this perfect for us is the permanence and visibility. Once installed, this garden greeting requires little maintenance while clearly marking your garden as a special place deserving of a name and recognition. It creates identity and boundary in the nicest possible way. Welcome, wanderer, to the Garden of Second Chances. This charming garden marker does more than identify your space. It tells visitors something about the gardener who tends it. Someone who sees potential where others see waste. Someone who values creativity over expense. Someone who understands that beauty often comes from the most unexpected sources, including something as humble as a discarded tire. Before we wrap up, let me share a few tips that will help your tire transformations look their best and last for years to come. When selecting tires for garden projects, look for those with minimal wear and no significant damage to sidewalls. Radial tires tend to be more flexible and easier to cut than older bias ply styles if your project requires cutting. For the cleanest cuts when working with tires, keep your utility knife or box cutter very sharp, changing blades frequently. Spray the cutting line with soapy water as a lubricant to help the blade move more smoothly through the rubber. When painting tires, thorough cleaning is essential for good adhesion. Scrub with a stiff brush and detergent, then rinse completely and allow to dry. Apply a primer designed for plastic or rubber before your color coats for the most durable finish. For outdoor tire projects, consider the effects of your climate. In very hot regions, dark-colored tires can absorb heat that might damage plant roots. Line them with insulating material or choose lighter colors. In very cold areas, ensure good drainage to prevent ice formation that could crack your creations. For maintenance, a yearly fresh coat of paint keeps your tire creations looking their best. Spring is the perfect time for this refresh, just before your garden awakens fully. Check any hardware connections like screws or bolts annually, tightening as needed. And finally, remember that these projects are meant to bring joy, not strain. Work at a comfortable pace, prioritize projects that match your physical abilities, and don't hesitate to ask for help with heavier lifting or challenging cuts. Gardening wisdom includes knowing when to take breaks and when to modify techniques for comfort. These simple transformations prove that gardening doesn't need to become less creative or less satisfying as we age. It just needs thoughtful adaptation. With a little imagination and the right approach, those golden years truly can be the most colorful season of our gardening lives. Today we didn't just save tires from the landfill, we gave them purpose, beauty, and a second chance to shine. We turned utilitarian objects into garden art, practical planters, and whimsical accents that express personality while respecting physical needs. And isn't there something poetically perfect about that? These tires have traveled thousands of miles in their first lives, carrying families on journeys, supporting loads, touching roads across the country. Now, in their second life, they get to stay in one beautiful place, your garden, bringing joy in an entirely new way. Because as we age, we see things differently. We see worth in the worn. We see beauty in the battered. We understand that character comes from living fully, not from perfection. Our experienced eyes recognize potential where younger ones might see only trash, and our patient hands know how to coax that potential into reality. And just like an old tire, we've still got miles left in us, just in a different direction. Our gardens reflect that journey, not ending, but transforming. Not diminishing, but evolving with new purpose and unexpected beauty. These simple projects remind us that creativity doesn't retire when we do. It simply finds new paths to explore with the wisdom of experience as its guide. If even one idea made you smile, give this video a thumbs up. Your appreciation helps our garden community grow and helps others discover these gentle approaches to creative gardening. Let us know in the comments, which tire idea would you try first, or do you have one we should feature next? I read every comment and find such inspiration in your innovative adaptations and personal garden stories. Subscribe to Golden Seniors Living, where age meets imagination and gardens bloom with joy. Where we believe that wisdom, creativity, and a bit of recycled rubber can create outdoor spaces that respect both your experience and your changing needs. Until next time, keep growing, keep creating, and keep giving old things new life, one bloom at a time. Because a garden, like a life well lived, is at its most beautiful when it embraces both history and hope, memory and possibility, in equal measure. Happy gardening, dear friends.